this is a question that every person related to exam in any way, when they encounter me, would ask. They say, see, a student should have some basic raw material in him to be able to clear this exam. How, without uh, you know without clearly coming into terms with whether he has that raw material, how you are claiming that you will achieve success for every aspirant who comes to you? Now, this is where this process is unique. This process has a very, very strong why to it. Mind you, this whole process has a very, very strong why to it. Why this process came into place for the first, why this process originated in the first place. This process originated because, including me, I saw a lot of people spending precious youth in the preparation. 21 to 35 is the youth, correct? In any country. 21 to 35 is also the time when you can take up the civil service exam. So the precious youth of this country was wasted in civil service exam. Every attempt, an aspirant ends up in a failure. He feels he did not do enough. So he has to ensure that those gaps were plugged, which was there in the previous attempt, so that he'll clear this attempt. Again, he fails. He feels he didn't do enough. Like this, he ends up taking 5, 6, 7 attempts. Now, what is very important here is, has the aspirant clearly come into terms with his actual inability, which was preventing him from achieving success, preventing him from tasting success? That is the million-dollar question here. Has the aspirant got to know the real reason why he failed? You go and ask any aspirant, he would say, hey, I should have read this document. Hey, I should have read that textbook. Should have revised twice. I should have written more tests. But even when they are doing it in their next attempts, they are still not clearing. This is leaving them perplexed. Hey, I had not done this in the previous attempt. I did it this time. Why still I did not clear? Correct. That is where is ignorance of your incompetence. Number one, there is serious gap in your competence. Number two, you're not aware of it. Why people are not aware of the gap in their competences? They see only a part of competence as being important to clear this exam, which in itself is wrong. In fact, most people don't even know that it is competence that is required to clear this exam. They only feel it is knowledge that is required to clear this exam. Mind you, my dear friends, knowledge is just a small part of the competence, be it civil service exam or any area of life. Now, as many people know, competence has 3 parts to it. One is the knowledge, another is the skills, another is the attitude. If we can remember the competence iceberg model, our knowledge and skills only matter to that part of the iceberg which is seen on the water. And as you all know very well, that part of the iceberg which is seen on the water accounts for just 1%. The remaining, it accounts for only one part. The remaining 8 or 9 parts is within the water. Correct? Just like that, skills and knowledge account for just one part of the actual competence that you require. The remaining 8 parts is well within the water, which means what? Most of you or most of the civil service exam aspirants don't even know what is that problem in their attitude which may be preventing them from achieving success in this exam. Forget about knowing what is the problem in attitude. Most people don't even know that attitude is an important component of competence, and in fact, the most important one. Within attitude, we have self-image, we have the motives, we have the traits, and all this matters so much for the efficacy of the preparation of an aspirant. Also his performance in the exam, also the results he gets. Now, without knowing exam, without knowing preparation in its 360-degree form, how can we even fantasize achieving success in this exam? Just by reading two more books, just by revising the read books two times more. If people are thinking that they will get success, I mean, that is the pinnacle of stupidity, I can say. Nothing more. So, what we do at IAS Vinicius is, we don't discount on the importance of knowledge and skills in first place. We build it. We build it in a very organized way. The knowledge that IAS Vinicius builds in comparison to the knowledge that is built anywhere in India is, the knowledge here is organic and systematic. You always start with 1, then go to 4, then go to 8, then go to 16. It is never like you go from 1 to 16 and then you have to come back to 7 because you didn't know something there. So, the way in which we build the knowledge is very, very organic and very, very organized. Skills. When it comes to skills, we put conscious efforts to build the skills of aspirants at the right time. And most often, we build the skills of aspirants in a way that they don't even know that they were actually worked upon and their skills were enriched. For example, I have many students who had stage fear, going on the stage and talking to people and all. Without having to tell them, we have been successful in removing the stage fear. Now, this aspirant is ready for the interview, much better, much more confident than how he was before going through this coaching process. Now, having said about the knowledge and skills, coming to the attitude is where we spend most of the time. In fact, if you come and ask any Vinicius, that's what student of IAS Vinicius is called. I mean, because they are going to have a winning finish in civil service exam. If you ask any Vinicius, what do you feel about the learning process? They say it's fun. You can see them much happier compared to aspirants anywhere in the country. And this is because consciously we have been able to work on their attitude, and by consciously working on their attitude, we have been able to give them a better self-image of themselves, better motives for themselves, and their traits have been worked upon in such a way that it is catalyzing the preparation, and the performance in the exam is also going to a better level. So this is how IAS Vinicius works in a different way with the aspirants. Instead of just working on the knowledge, it works on the knowledge in an organic and organized way. Instead of just working on the skills, it works on the skills in a way that the aspirant himself doesn't know that he is. Because if you tell an aspirant that, look, you don't have the skill, he will stop concentrating on everything else and only concentrate on building that skill, which is wrong again. Because this exam as a 360-degree approach requires a lot of things to be taken care of. So you don't have to actually tell an aspirant that, look, the skill has to be improved. What I do to my students, whenever they write an answer and come to me to get it evaluated, I tell them, hey friends, don't come and show me this answer. Write an answer which I will definitely give 15 marks out of 20 and then come to me. Do you understand that? See, the writing skills, if I evaluate it in its raw form and I start telling him, see, you don't have good presentation skills, you don't write this well, you don't write that well, you don't write the body well, you don't write the conclusion well, all his concentration will go there, which I don't want to happen, my dear friends, actually. So, skills, we build it like that. And coming to the attitude, which is the most important part of the competence, which actually is a game changer, which is actually a decider, is I think where we work and see to that people are changed phenomenally in such a way that they achieve the results that they want for themselves in their life. Thank you so much, Shweta, for asking this question.
Amazing and superb system, sir. Thank you for actually sharing where you work with candidates to bring success in their life.
One more thing, Shwetaji. So I only spoke to you about the competence and how we make, see, look at here. Any learning involves 4 stages. It starts with ignorance of inability, where there is a need felt for learning. Many of us have a lot of inabilities in us. Many of us are incompetent on multiple counts. Unfortunately, we will not even know about it. Okay? That's called ignorance of inability. Okay? Or we also call it as unconscious incompetence. There is incompetence, we are not even conscious of it. Perfect? Here, a guru will throw light and help you come into terms with your inability. Now, this is the second stage, which we call as awareness of inability. It's also called as conscious incompetence. You have incompetence and you're conscious of it. Then comes the third stage, where you now work on the inability and see to that ability is developed. Now this stage is called where we have actually learned something and we know that we have learned. Awareness of ability. It can also be called as conscious competence. Okay? Now there is a higher stage also, which is called ignorance of ability. We all have to aspire to reach that stage. Notwithstanding that, what our course, the course that is facilitated by IAS Vinicius, which is called the IMP MBA and which has a system called RACE. Okay? What it only does is, it promises development of an aspirant only till the stage of conscious competence. So it brings him to the stage of conscious competence and it sees to that it is with his conscious competence that he is going to attend the prelims, he is going to attend the mains, he is going to attend the interview. When this happens, don't you feel an aspirant will definitely clear the exam? The reason is there. When a person becomes conscious of his competence, not knowledge, competence, knowledge, skill and attitude, automatically he gets confidence. When you walk into the exam hall with confidence, you will definitely clear the exam. As a rule. No, there it does not end. Are we arriving at are we arriving at conscious competence just like that? No. Conscious competence has stages to it. And the first stage I feel is development of one's character. That's where IAS Vinicius Institute works on a student first. It works on the character of the student. Then we have a culture. IAS Vinicius Institute has a culture that is, that is so Indian in nature. I mean, there is very less scope in this culture for people to get distracted, for people to lose focus in their life. And this culture is a high performance culture. So, having developed this culture with the foundation of character, we go to the next stage where we give clarity to students on every aspect of life. See, till I explained to you some time ago, most people only felt exam is all about knowledge. So I gave you clarity on the fact that knowledge accounts for only a small percentage. There is skill, there is attitude, and within attitude there is so much to it. Correct? So we give clarity to the aspirant on so many fronts. When character is worked upon, culture is created, clarity is provided, conscious competence is achieved, confidence is, developed in an aspirant. I have a question for you. Can any IAS aspirant fail in the exam? He has to definitely clear the exam. So because it's such an organic and a systematic process, I tell with full confidence that anyone who is starting with me, notwithstanding where he is coming from, where he is right now in his life, he will definitely end up as an IAS officer, having a winning finish in this exam.